I went for my phone, half expecting the screen to be lit, when I woke up to the gentle buzz of alerts. Perhaps a heartfelt remark from Isla. 35 wasn't a significant milestone in birthday messages, but it wasn't nothing either. It was the age that pleaded for a modest gesture, such as a kiss before work or breakfast in bed. Over the sound of a toothbrush, someone mumbled, "Happy birthday!" But when I looked at the screen, there were only a few apps. I stared at the ceiling for a while after receiving a spam email and not receiving any messages from her. I'm counting the paint cracks as if they will help me ignore the hollowness that's settling into my chest. It wasn't new, I had assured myself at the time, and the previous 2 birthdays had passed by in the same manner, that she was simply overburdened and preoccupied. But this morning's quiet didn't feel like a diversion. Rather, it felt like distance. It felt purposeful. As I entered the kitchen, she had already departed for work, and her coffee was half finished. Her plate was immaculate in the dishwasher, but mine was not. There was a faint lipstick trace on the rim next to the sink. She had scrambled eggs on the counter, but there was no letter, card, or anything for me. She used to leave notes when we were still trying, sticky notes on the refrigerator. I got ready and entered the office, attempting to dispel the burden in my chest as though it were something I could ignore, but the day dragged on. Suddenly, some of my coworkers must have detected something around lunchtime. I was largely taken out for pizza by the marketing team. It was pleasant, loud, and straightforward. There was an inexpensive small candle embedded in a piece of tiramisu, and they sang off tune as if they were strangers. I tried, though, and I smiled and laughed, but it wasn't what I wanted. Isla to be waiting for me when I got home, smiling, holding a cake, or saying something that suggested she recalled that the house still had no streamers and no food on the stove. My cousin Eli arrived the following day with a chocolate cake in the living room, and her absence was more noticeable than ever. We sat on the terrace, as we used to before life became so incredibly complicated, one hand holding a 6-pack of beer in the other. For a while, the calm didn't feel as oppressive, and the soft wind carried the aroma of early spring. "So," he said. I tapped without looking at him while savoring a piece of cake. "Where is Isla?" Unread notifications from client apps and unrelated offers were flashing on my phone's screen. Eli lifted an eyebrow, but she didn't respond. She was likely wine tasting with her sister again. Without even turning my head, I could sense it, and I laughed softly. The kind of laugh you give when you're trying to... He didn't push. He just sipped, and I added that she'd been doing that a lot lately, as if that explained everything. Strange. I thought she would be plotting while he sipped his beer and gazed out over the yard. Later that evening, I forced a smile and replied, "Yeah, something big, 35 and all." Once Eli had gone and I had scraped the last of the chocolate frosting off the box, I collapsed on the couch with my phone and began scrolling. I wasn't really attempting to find anything specific. I was just trying to kill time and avoid thinking. Then I noticed a picture of Isla, her sister Jasmine, and a few of their pals. They were giggling, their hair blowing, and champagne glasses raised in a toast. Isla wore sunglasses more expensive than my car's and a white sundress I had never seen before, the ideal golden hour photo. The final service and the following caption. "My sister's birthday was the best ever. I'm grateful to everyone who helped make it happen, except me." I gazed at that picture as if it had directly offended me. My thumb habitually lingered over the heart icon, but instead of pressing it, I put my palm down in my lap and simply sat there, staring. I continued to read about her smile, which I hadn't seen in months and which she appeared to wear just around me. Heart emoticons in the comments. "Wonderful girls, you're all living your best lives." And of course, without my people, Jasmine's response would not have been possible. Was I one of those people? Or did I even make the list? I put my phone on the table, face down, and locked it. But the picture stuck in my head like a brand. It wasn't a yacht. It wasn't the money, the picture filters, the champagne, or the fact that she wasn't present on my birthday. It was the caption, "Best birthday ever." I sat there without receiving a text message until my hands were clasped in my lap as the screen darkened and the gentle glow faded into black. Unaware that it wasn't forgetfulness or busyness, fists clenched. It wasn't fatigue or a mistake. Rather, it was her decision to ignore me. She decided not to be present, not even in spirit, and she did not send a message. And as the room's silence deepened and became indisputable, I became aware of something that made me feel even colder. She didn't forget. She didn't care. And all of a sudden, neither did I. It came on a Wednesday, the type of day that hovers in the center of the week like an unanswerable riddle. I was chewing on a dry turkey sandwich during my business lunch break while attempting to persuade myself to finish My inbox pinged, but nothing out of the ordinary, just junk mail updates from the spreadsheet I'd been ignoring since Monday. Vendors and the typical corporate jargon, but this subject line really got my attention. Split even here. When I opened it, the sender, Isla, included a PDF with no salutation. Jasmine's yacht's top is a neat, itemized invoice with a title, Breakdown of Party Expenses, Venue Rental, Catering, and Designer Balloon Art Champagne Bundles, including the cost of the gratuity for the boat workers, total $3,200. Next to it, in bold type, as if it were a present for me, I read the attachment again and saw the paragraph that said, split without $600 each. 3 times my gaze lingered on a single, especially noteworthy piece of VIP decor. Bundle. $425. Did the balloons get dipped in gold? What the devil did that even mean? I reclined in my chair and gazed at the television, hoping to experience something other than revulsion, but it never materialized. Instead, I felt numb, as if all the tiny emotional paper wounds had finally drained me empty. This invoice, the woman who sliced this paper was my wife, the same person who hadn't even texted me to wish me a happy birthday, was now charging me for her sister's birthday celebration on a yacht to which I was not even invited. She pretended to be wine tasting with Jasmine over the weekend, and I didn't yell, throw anything, or even curse. I just looked at the PDF and began to chuckle silently and resentfully. That night, I sat through a kind of chuckle that begins in your throat and ends in your chest because there's nothing left to feed it. I had my laptop open on my knees on the couch in our quiet living room, and I was using my fingers to get into our joint account. For the first time in years, I hesitated as I hovered over the keyboard. Not because I wasn't sure, but because I sent $1 exactly. $1. Because I finally realized that this wasn't about justice, but rather about drawing a line. I then added, I'm not on board, in the